All right, in this lesson, we're going to be looking at the special right triangles. The two special right triangles are 30, 60, 90 triangles and 45, 45, 90 degree triangles. So it's important to remember the relationship between the three sides of these special right triangles. The reason why they're special is because each one of the sides, you only need the measure of one of the sides in order to determine what the measure of the other two sides are. If you're going to use the Pythagorean theorem, you need the measure of two sides in order to find the measure of that third side. For these special right triangles, you only need to know the measure of one of the sides in order to find the measure of the other two sides. So for a 30, 60, 90 degree triangle, the side opposite the 30-degree angle is referred to as the short leg. The side opposite the 60-degree angle is referred to as the long leg. And the side opposite the right angle is always the hypotenuse. The short leg, the long leg, if we use x to represent the length of the short leg, the long leg is always the length of the short leg, x, times the square root of 3. And the hypotenuse of a 30, 60, 90 triangle is always 2 times the length of the short leg. For 45, 45, 90 degree triangles, the two legs of the 45, 45, 90 degree triangles, they're always the same. They're opposite 45 degree angles. Since they're opposite congruent angles, the sides are also congruent to each other. And then the hypotenuse of a 45, 45, 90 degree triangle is always the length of the legs times the square root of 2. All right, so in this example, we've got a 45, 45, 90 degree triangle. We are given the length of one of the legs. And again, the hypotenuse is just the length of one of the legs times the square root of 2. So we can immediately find the length of the other leg is going to be the same length as the leg that's given, and is going to be the square root of 2. And then m, the hypotenuse, is going to be the length of that leg, square root of 2, times the square root of 2. Square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is just 2. We've got another 45, 45, 90 degree triangle, except for in this example, we're given the measure of the hypotenuse. And if we go back to that first slide, the hypotenuse is always the length of the leg times the square root of 2. So 1 equals the length of the leg times the square root of 2. To solve for x, the length of the leg, we're going to divide both sides by the square root of 2. And we have to rationalize that denominator by multiplying the numerator and denominator by the square root of 2. That's going to give us the square root of 2 over 2. And again, both the legs of 45, 45, 90 degree triangles are the same. So x and y will both be the square root of 2 over 2. And this 30, 60, 90 triangle, I know that this is a 30, 60, 90 triangle because it's a right triangle and one of the angle measures is 30. That means the other angle measure has to be 60. And they give us the measure of the short leg, which in the expression on the first slide is x. So if they give you what x is, then we can easily determine what the length of the long leg is and the hypotenuse. So if we start with the hypotenuse is always 2 times the length of the short leg. So the short leg is 3 over 2. So we're going to multiply 2 times 3 over 2. The 2's cancel, and that tells us that the hypotenuse is equal to 3. And to find the measure of the long leg is always the length of the short leg times the square root of 3. So the short leg is 3 over 2, so we multiply that by the square root of 3, and we get 3 root 3 over 2. In this 30, 60, 90 triangle, we're given the length of the long leg. And if you remember, the long leg of the 30, 60, 90 triangle is equal to the short leg times the square root of 3. So we have 358 times the square root of 3 for the measure of the long leg. So we can automatically tell that the short leg is just going to be 358. All right, so 358 square root 3 equals the length of the short leg times the square root of 3. We divide both sides by the square root of 3. We just get 358 for the length of the short leg. So B equals 358. And the hypotenuse is the length of the short leg, 358, times 2. So A, the hypotenuse is just going to be 2 times the short leg, which is 358. 358 times 2 is 716. And for this last 30, 60, 90 triangle, we're now given the length of the hypotenuse. And again, the hypotenuse of a 30, 60, 90 triangle is the length of the short leg times 2. All right, so to find the length of the short leg, we need to divide both sides by 2 or multiply both sides by 1/2. When I multiply 16 root 3 over 3 by, multiply that by 1/2, I get 16 root 3 over 6. I can simplify that to 8 root 3 over 3. So the short leg is 8 root 3 over 3. So B is 8 root 3 over 3. And the long leg is just the length of the short leg times the square root of 3. So I'm just going to multiply B's value by the square root of 3. Square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is 3. 8 times 3 is 24. So the long leg A is going to be 24 over 3, which is 8.